It is important to understand health and safety when in Mexico, because the Mexicans see things fundamentally different to Western people. Before I start, I would like to mention that this video is about general health and safety, not about food health and safety, and not about driving in Mexico. In Mexico, it is your responsibility to take care of your own health and safety. If you happen to injure yourself, then it's your fault for not being more careful. If you are in an expensive hotel or in a major tourist area like Cancun, the risk of injury is significantly decreased. But you should still watch this video so that you can get to grips with the Mexican mindset. If you are living in Mexican society, for example paying rent on a flat, then you should watch this video to reduce your risk of injury. The aim of this video is to help the viewer grasp the Mexican mindset. There are 1001 different ways you can put yourself at risk, but if you understand the mindset, then hopefully you will gain a better instinct in predicting and avoiding general risks. In the West, health and safety is a big priority, and legal structures are created to reinforce this idea. In Mexico, the idea of health and safety does exist, but it's not as big a priority as in the West. One of the most ironic things that I have seen is a pharmacy selling cigarettes on its front shelves. That being said, I'm going to start this video about riding motorcycles to show you what I mean about the lack of priority given to health and safety. Many people use helmets in Mexico when riding a bike, but not all. Many people ride their motorbike with their helmet strapped to the back of the motorbike, just in case they have a passenger. What is clear in Mexico is that convenience and relationships are more important than health and safety. Here we see a guy riding a bike, and he has given his helmet to his passenger without thinking about the danger to himself in the event of a collision. The helmet would act like a hammer against his head. This is a common thing to see in Mexico. This guy, however, seems to be more concerned for his own security. Let the bird die, that's what I say. The issue of relationships can be seen in carrying people in the back of pickup trucks. I can sympathize with the problem of needing to carry many people, but when one of those trucks has an accident, the consequences are horrific. Many people don't have technical training, and the result is that they miscalculate things, like carrying heavy loads up hills. Incidentally, this event happened in front of me while I was collecting clips to put in this video. On this point, I knew a Danish guy who was in a hotel and he leant against a concrete bar protecting him on the balcony. The concrete gave way and he fell down a floor and broke his leg. Many stairs in Mexico do not have handrails. People do not always account for the technical details of fire health and safety. Once I was in a fair watching a show when it suddenly came to my attention that the people organizing the event had not considered fire health and safety. We were in a large tent with about 1,000 other people. The benches we were sitting on were so close together that if there had been a fire, it would have been impossible to be able to leave in time. Then there's the technical details of traveling by combi. A combi is a minibus in which people travel. In Pachuca, drivers are given a set time with which to get from point A to point B. If they are late, they are fined. That means that they can end up driving very quickly, indeed dangerously quickly, to meet their schedule. I know a girl who broke her clavicle in an accident because the combi was driving so fast. When I am in a combi driving quickly, I make sure that my extremities are not going to get trapped by anything like a window or seat and prepare for the possibility of flying. What we see generally is that people don't see the big picture in regards to health and safety. They don't seem to understand the consequences of their actions on themselves and on others. Once I saw a man carrying something heavy like an industrial oven from a truck. I offered to help him. We were in the process of lowering the oven, and he let go of it at the last minute without warning me, almost causing me serious injury. Various kinds of fireworks are readily available, some of them made in people's homes. I have never seen an accident with fireworks, but they do make me nervous.
El perro no lo quiere.
Let's get on to the topic of electricity. In Mexico, the standard voltage is 127 volts and the frequency is 60 hertz. Once I was in a house and there was a clear problem with the transformer outside. One day, suddenly all the lights became bright as if the gods were descending, and you could hear the power sockets of my computer sizzling. Then all the lights exploded. There had been a sudden power surge, burning out anything connected to the sockets. I have to say that that happened only once to me. It is common for Mexicans to attach a regulator to their electrical equipment to protect their electronics from a power surge. Incidentally, if you do have a computer that receives a power burst, it is unlikely that the whole computer is fried. You only need to replace the power supply. I don't think I have ever seen a house in Mexico which doesn't have at least one burnt socket. If the wires aren't connected correctly or the power is too high for the cable, then the socket can burst into flames. Once I was in a hotel in Acapulco and I brushed past a chest freezer and had a significant electric shock. The French hotel owner and the people around me laughed. The fridge was permanently electrically live. Personally, I didn't find it so funny. Generally, electric water heaters tend to be okay, but you can buy water heaters in Mexico that don't have the protective covering, which means that electricity is passing through the water that you're heating. These heaters look like a spring wrapped around a ceramic cylinder. Let's now talk about gas. Gas boilers are normally outside, which means there is very little risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. On top of that, most Mexican houses are significantly aerated, which also reduces the risk. If you have a gas tank, check to see that it is connected correctly. They can leak gas. Boiler maintenance can be an issue. Once I pressed the button to initiate the gas and then I let go. Unbeknownst to me, the gas kept coming. I lit a match and the area below the boiler exploded, sending a hot pressure wave up my arm and chest and into my face, leaving all my hair in its path singed. Be careful with gas. I also know a lady who blew herself up with an outdoors gas oven similar to the one seen here, because she was not aware of the health and safety risks. We shall now talk about general health and safety in the street. Be aware of things hanging out at head height. I've only knocked myself to the floor once, but the possibilities can be terrifying because things can just hang out with sharp, pointy ends. Concrete buildings can hang out below head height. Road signs can also pose a risk. According to the culture, if you bang your head, it's your fault for not watching where you're going. On this point, be careful entering combis. I have hit my head while entering and leaving them a number of times. I once seriously damaged my neck climbing into a combi. If you are a tall person, I strongly suggest you take a semi-fetal position before entering or exiting. Beware of barbed wire and sharp objects sticking out in the street. Mexicans believe that the solution to keeping people away from their property is to threaten them with sharp objects. Sometimes sharp objects just stick out because people failed to fix the problem. Once I passed a park fence and tore my jacket because of wires sticking out of the fence. Speaking about sharp objects, if you are travelling in the fields in arid or semi-arid places, be aware of cactus spines. They are very sharp and easily penetrate the human body. When I first arrived in Mexico, I went on a walk in the fields and a spine went through the bottom of my shoe into my foot. Another time it went through the side of my trainer and entered my little toe, and as far as I can tell was stopped by the bone. Things just generally stick out in Mexico. Things stick out from the floor, normally for supporting concrete posts. Screws can stick out. Even in my own kitchen there is a nail that sticks out near the sink, presumably to hold a cloth. In this area, a lady sells things, so to make herself more comfortable, she has had concrete laid and has stuck nails into the trees to hang her wares. Be aware of cables that stabilize posts in the street. Sometimes they have a yellow metal covering warning people of their presence. Many times they don't. I have had the privilege of walking into both kinds without seeing them. When walking in the dark, the cables are almost invisible to the human eye. Builders have a habit of leaving nails in walls after they have finished. We can see nails sticking out of a wall at head height near an entrance to a building. One problem is that a lot of things that stick out of walls are rusty. Any significant contact may require a tetanus booster. Finally, beware of holes in the floor. Holes can randomly exist anywhere. I have seen holes 2 meters deep. If you fall into one, then it's your fault for not watching where you are going. There is no one to sue. Once I was so paranoid about falling into a hole that I was looking down at the pavement and so banged my head in the process. Even if there isn't a hole in the floor, pavements are generally difficult to walk on. Tripping is a real possibility, and my Mexican friends are always laughing at me as I wander around like a drunken man on the streets. It is very difficult to use pushchairs on pavements. Most Mexican women carry their babies in the traditional way. In summary, I would like to suggest that if you visit Mexico, you should understand that the system is not always created to protect you. You have to protect yourself. Watch where you are walking on the streets. Watch where you put your hands. Pay greater attention to the risks. In my time here, I have seen crazy things, and I say to myself, one day that is going to cause someone injury. Then I forget about the issue, and sure enough, a few months later, somebody is in hospital because they fell down a hole, got electrocuted, got blown up, etc., etc. Just try to make sure that that someone is not you.